One day I was reading the Bible. I felt God spoke to me. And I was reading from the book of Judges in the Old Testament. And it was chapter 6 of a young person called Gideon that God started to speak to. And you can read the story in your own Bible. But what happened? God started to speak to Gideon in a situation where the Israelite people was really in trouble. Their big enemy was chasing them and holding them down. And they was afraid of the big army of the Amalekites. And what happened in that area? Well, God started to speak to Gideon, who was very young, who was not really, he was afraid. And he said no to his calling, first one time. And then after dealing with God, he said, okay, God, I obey. I do what you say. And then he went on and sacrificed like his own commitment to God and made God a sacrifice. And then after the sacrifice, the first thing God asked Gideon is, go to the top of the mountain and tear down the altars of your own fleshy father. That was not an easy task in that context, because it's really in some way to be in rebellion, to go against your father. But Gideon was tested in the fear of man or fear of God. And he feared God more. He understood God. So he was obedient to God. So in the night, he took with him his friend and went to the top of the mountain and tear down the altars of his father and run away. So what happened? Can you imagine this? In the next morning, all the men in the city, it's quoted like that, all the men in the city come to the doorstep of his father. Can you imagine 5,000 men around a small house, roaring, screaming, give us your son, we're gonna kill him. They knew that they couldn't take the son only through the father. Because if they did something with the son, they would have the whole heritage, the whole family, the extended family, the big family against them, those who did it. So they had to go through the father. And they said, give us your son, we're gonna kill him. I imagine the father sitting in the house or standing in the house or going around in the house, and he was thinking, what have my son done? What is he up to? What is he doing? Stupid son, how can he do this to me? And he was really thinking through when he heard the crowd screaming outside. And then he came to a conclusion. He went out to the door to meet all the people, and he said, well, if this God that we have built the altar to is really God, they can fight for themselves. I protect my son. I cover him. And then he went into the house and thought, what have I done? I can't do anything else. He's my son. I have to cover him. He's my son. I don't understand what he have done, but he's my son. Why do I tell this story? It's important to understand that after this, Gideon went out and maybe won the biggest victory in Israelite history with 300 people. He was so confident because he was covered by his own father. And this is true fatherhood. Today we need leaders, but not only leaders, we need fathers who manage to cover the young generation that is moving out, starting new things, doing new things that reach their own generation. There's so many voices that say, you can't do this, or this is not right, or this is wrong, or you should do this, and this is all the voices that say to the young people, you shouldn't do it. Someone needs to be fathers and mothers who, like the father of Gideon, protect and cover the young people. And maybe you are one of them who's going to protect and cover a young guy. Maybe you don't really understand everything he's doing, but he's your son, spiritual son maybe, spiritual daughter, and you're going to cover him. And because of your covering, because of your fatherhood, because of you are there, they will run much further than they have done alone. And I think this is an important story. We need thousands of fathers who cover and protect a young generation that will run the race to win their own generation. Maybe you are one of these bold father like Gideon who protect and cover. And you have some sons and daughters around you that you know they have a calling from God and are going to protect them. I'm going to cover them.